Hey everybody, Coach Lance here. So a lot of questions with the bike transportation to Lavaman, and it is definitely something you should put some thought into. The sooner the better. So let's get into the various options. First thing that I'm going to tell you is that when it comes to fundraising, your best option for making things the most streamlined and the least amount for you to worry about is to do the fundraising option that pays for your bike shipping, okay? That makes everything just much easier. If you're going to choose the lower fundraising amount and you're going to pay for bike shipping on your own, you should probably budget in the range of $300 to $550, maybe even a little bit more than that, depending on whether or not you can put your bike in a box by yourself or if you need to have a bike shop do it. If you're flying from the West Coast and you're flying Alaska Airlines and you know how to put your bike in a box and you own a box or can borrow a box, then you might be able to get away with $150 total. That's $75 each way on Alaska. A lot of airlines like United, I believe, are $200 each way. Last year I took my bike on the plane and it cost me $100 on Hawaiian going over, and on the way back they charged me the $100 for the bike. Plus, they also charged me an extra $50 for being overweight, over 62 pounds, I think it was. Ridiculous. So it ended up costing me an extra $50, $250 total, right? So you should plan for that. Most every season, people are, they don't do the full fundraising, and they get to the last week and they start thinking about getting their bike there, and they're just simply shocked at how much it costs to get their bike there. So let's say that you do the full fundraising and then Team in Training is going to ship your bike over to the Big Island. So what happens from there? Well, the few of you who are lucky enough to live near a chapter that it's going, and that's more or less probably going to be like San Francisco, LA, New York, and then there's a Seattle team that goes over. You can just take your bike to the chapter, take your pedals off, and they'll put it with other bikes on a shipping container and send it over to the Big Island. The rest of you, it's what's called pack and ship. So you're going to dismantle your bike. It's not hard. I can walk you through it. There's some great videos on it. And you're going to put it in a box or a bike box that you could rent or borrow from someone. And then that's going to get put, Team in Training is going to give you a UPS or FedEx shipping label. You're going to take that to a UPS, FedEx store, and then just send it off. And then when it gets to Hawaii, the transportation people are going to build the bike for you, and it's going to be ready for you. Just put your pedals on when you get there. Okay? If you are not doing the full fundraising amount, then you can pay Team in Training to send the bike there through the same method. And that depends on what the rates are, but again, you should probably plan for that $400 range minimum. Okay, let's see what else we got. So there's a couple companies that will, if Team in Training last year used Go Race Day Transport, and they were fantastic. You can go to their website, just Google Go Race Day Transport, and you can put in your information, say where your bike's going, and then they'll give you a quote on how much that will cost. There's also Tri-Bike Transport. Tri-Bike Transport, for most states, they have it listed, and the range is between $450 to $550. Now, if you don't know how or you're not comfortable putting your bike in a box, then you're going to have to maybe take that to a bike shop, and that can be most commonly $50 to $75 for the bike shop to disassemble your bike and put it in the box and ship it off. So that's an additional charge for you. Okay. You can take it on the plane, like I said, like I did. There's a couple things to keep in mind. One is that you need somebody to be able to take you to the airport with a little bit larger car so you can fit your bike box in the car to the airport and also pick you up on the way back. Or you need, and then on the other side of it, when you land in Kona, you need to get to the hotel. So if you're renting a car, you need to rent a bigger car so you can fit your bike box in there. I discovered last year, Roberts of Hawaii, they do charter buses, and they'll take you from the airport to the hotel, and I think it was only around like $30 a person. It's an extra $15 for your bike. So I think one way it was around $45 for me and my bike to get to the hotel. You can also do rentals, but keep in mind it's an island. It's a small island. There's about 3 places that rent bikes, and each of them probably has between maybe like 8 and 12 bikes, maybe 20 bikes. So there's not a ton of bikes to rent. Two of them are Bike Works. There's a Bike Works in Waikoloa and there's a Bike Works in Kona. On both of those, you need to reserve that bike about 100 days in advance. At 90 days before the race, they'll be sold out. No more bikes. Go Race Day Transport also has a bike rental option, so you can check out with them. And then Cycle Station is another bike shop in Kona where you can rent bikes. But again, there are very few bikes to rent. Bike rentals can sometimes be a good option for the person who has a very entry-level bike, because all the bikes over there in Hawaii are really expensive bikes typically to rent, so a lot of times you can upgrade. The downside of that is you're riding a bike you're not necessarily familiar with. So when possible, especially if the race means a lot to you, it's going to be better to ride on your own bike because you're used to it, as opposed to a rental. But if you're going over there for fun and you just want to have a good time and not too concerned about the bike, that might be a better option for you. Typically for, let's say, a week, let's say 7 days, the high-end bikes I think are $35 a day, so you're looking about $250 to rent a bike over there. And then if you rent a bike in Kona, you also need to be able to have a car or something, some way to get into Kona to go pick up the bike. The only bike shop that's right at where the race is the Waikoloa Bike Works. So if you rented a bike there, you could just simply walk down there, pick up the bike, ride it back to the hotel, drop it off after the race. Very convenient. Okay? I think that's all the questions that I have. I will be there if you need to build your bike or when you need to take it apart on the way home. When you do it through Pack and Ship, or through Team in Training or Tri Bike Transport or Race Day, it's typically you have to drop your bikes off 2 full weekends before the event. So the race is on I think that's April 2nd. So it's probably around the weekend of the March 15th as you're going to have to drop your bike off. And then keep in mind you won't get your bike back for at least 2 weeks. So for those of you who need your bike on either side, you may want to take it on the plane. If you do take it on the plane, make sure that you have one airline booked the whole way through. So sometimes people come from the East Coast and they find some great deals where they take one airline from the East Coast to LA and then they take a different airline from LA to Hawaii. Well, if you're taking your bike, each of those airlines is going to charge you a separate bike fee. So in that scenario, you could end up paying like $150, per way on the first airline and $100 per way on the second airline. So you're looking at like say 300 plus 200, it's $500 because you have 2 different airlines. So if you're flying to Hawaii with your bike on the plane, make sure that you're taking one airline all the way through. And it's also, the more times you transfer, like if you can't fly directly to Kona, then just keep in mind, as luggage has the tendency to get lost, every time you transfer, your bike also has to transfer just like the rest of the luggage. So there's opportunities there for things to go missing. I've flown with my bike a lot. I've never had it get lost, but you do hear horror stories once in a while. So that's what I have for bike shipping. If you have any questions, just post them here in the comments and I'll answer them. All right, thanks a lot.